Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Meg, I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, and this is Dishing Nutrition. So today I want to tackle a topic that is very contentious, and that is calorie counting. And this is not something that's always been contentious, but I think there's been pretty recent debate and backlash around the idea of tracking your food and counting calories, because for many people this just has not worked to help them be the healthiest version of themselves. And there's very good reason for that. So I want to go over some of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of calorie counting, some of the evidence that shows us it's not actually that effective, and we're also going to talk about some other strategies you can use to help you live a healthy lifestyle and be in a healthy weight range without obsession over calories and numbers on the scale. So first and foremost, one of the main reasons why calorie counting isn't that effective and why I'm not the biggest fan of it is because what we read on the nutrition label is not actually super accurate. And this is especially true for whole foods, so fresh fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. The way that calories are calculated is actually within a laboratory setting. So foods are burned, and then based off of those calculations, it's determined how much energy or how much calories are in that food. But the way that our body digests food is pretty different than how calories are determined in a lab. And that's because when we're digesting food, we're not extracting every last calorie and every last nutrient from that food. And that's simply because our gut bacteria and enzymes are not as efficient, and so there are certain things that they miss when digesting food. And this was proven in a study that showed us participants who ate almonds actually only extracted about 80% of the calories from those almonds compared to what was on the label. So a good 20% of the calories that people thought they were eating were actually not absorbed based on the results of this study. And that's because, again, our body is not as efficient at breaking down food, and this is especially true for whole foods. So we're not getting every last calorie or every last bit of energy out of the foods we're eating if we're eating primarily whole foods. Now, with highly processed foods, this is a little bit different because the act of processing a food kind of breaks down a lot of the fibers and the cell walls and other things that the enzymes and gut bacteria need to break down. So since these are already partially digested in a way, our bodies are more efficient at absorbing the calories from those foods. So for whole foods like fresh fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, calorie counts are just not that accurate. For ultra-processed foods, they are more accurate, but still, it's not a perfect science. Another reason why calorie counting isn't super accurate is because of something called the thermogenic effect of food. And this is basically a fancy way of saying the digestive process takes energy. So some of the nutrition from the foods you're eating is going straight back into digesting that food. So when we're eating foods, we have to remember that, especially when we're eating whole foods, it takes quite a bit of energy. In fact, about 10% of our body's energy is going right back into digesting that food. And sometimes the calorie counting apps that you'll see actually account for this thermogenic effect of food when they're calculating how many calories are in your daily budget, but other services don't do this. And so again, that just adds to one more reason why we're not actually getting an accurate picture of how many calories we're burning and how many calories we may be needing on a daily basis. Another thing I really don't love about calorie counting is it often reduces food only to its caloric content. And this is true a lot of times in calorie counting apps. Foods are obviously much more than just the amount of calories that they can give to us. They're filled with vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and antioxidants and things that are so important for our well-being. And this is especially true for whole foods. But oftentimes when we're looking at just the calorie amounts, it's like missing the forest through the trees, and we're not focusing on the things that matter. And I see this a lot with clients. A good example of this is some of the clients I have that are afraid of adding avocado into their diet because of how many calories an avocado has. But we often forget, when we're just focusing on the amount of calories that an avocado has, that avocados are also a beautiful source of healthy plant-based fat, that they have omega-3s and a good amount of protein. In fact, avocados have the highest amount of protein out of any other fruit. And there's all kinds of other vitamins and minerals in avocados that can help improve our health, our skin, our hair. And again, if we're just looking at that calorie count, we're forgetting this. I also am not the biggest fan of calorie counting because a lot of the clients that I've seen have a really warped relationship with food, and oftentimes an unhealthy relationship with food and with their bodies because of calorie counting and because of calorie counting apps. And this is because when we rely on an app or a very strict set of numbers to help us figure out how much to eat during the day, it really removes us from our body's natural cues and instincts around food, which are innate to all of us. Every single one of us has a very natural rhythm and natural set of cues that help tell us how much to eat, how much to slow down when we're eating, what kinds of foods our bodies may be needing more of. And for many of us, we've really lost touch with this process. In fact, there's really interesting research that was done where participants were split up into two groups, and one group was given a primarily whole foods diet and the other group was given more of a standard American diet that was filled with more ultra-processed foods. And each group was told to eat as much as they want. And the group that had a primarily whole foods diet ate quite a bit less and were healthier in terms of being at their body's happy weights and feeling more energetic. The other group actually did eat more calories, about 500 calories a day more. And this really goes to show us that our bodies were designed to eat more of a whole foods diet. And when we honor that, our bodies do a really good job of telling us when we're full and telling us when to stop. So if there's one piece of advice I could give throughout this video, it's to focus primarily on a whole foods diet. And what that means is instead of focusing on eating a lot of ultra-processed prepackaged foods, including more foods that are in their most natural state. So lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, spices, nuts and seeds. These are the kinds of foods that our bodies really love and are also filled with lots of fiber, which is another point, and that fiber and making sure we're getting enough fiber in the day can really help regulate our hunger and our appetite. And this is, again, proven through research. So most people in the United States are not meeting their fiber needs. In fact, only about 15 grams a day is what the average American is eating, when we really should be closer to 25 to 30 grams a day. And in fact, I like to recommend closer to 30 grams for most people because fiber is really one of the best things we could be eating, not only for our own health, but for our gut health and for our gut microbiota. Our gut loves fiber. Our digestive process thrives on having lots of fiber and a varied amount of fiber in our diet. And so I highly recommend focusing on more of those whole foods, not only for all the wonderful vitamins and minerals in those foods, but because of the fiber content. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave those down below. I'd love to chat more in the comment section. And thank you again for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye.